This book isn't just a study guide, it's the blueprint for that escape plan. It's a detailed record of one man's fight to make himself indispensable. He spent over $7,000 and sacrificed countless hours with his family to build a future that no company could ever take away from him. So what was his strategy? And what was the real return on that incredible investment? Let's break into his career survival guide.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into this really incredible story of a mid-career transformation, all drawn from the book, A 40-Year-Old Dad's AICPA Challenge. It's a journey that really kicks off with a simple, but let's be honest, pretty profound question that a lot of us end up facing in our own careers.
Okay, let's just start right here, because this one sentence, it really is the core of the entire book. It just perfectly captures that feeling of, being stuck, that desperate need for a spark that so many people feel when they hit a certain age. This whole story isn't just about getting a certificate. It's about the search for feeling alive in your own life again.
So, where did this whole thing start? Well, it begins with a crisis that is probably going to sound very familiar to a lot of you. Having a successful career that has, somewhere along the way, just lost its spark, its passion.
So he paints this picture of himself as just a typical 40-something dad. He's working in finance, but life has become this endless cycle of reports and meetings. And he's battling this deep, nagging insecurity. He found himself constantly asking, in 10 or 20 years, am I even going to be able to survive in this field? And the bigger question, is this really all there is?
And this is where his practical side just completely takes over. He looked at getting the Korean CPA, but quickly realized it was pretty much an impossible dream. He'd have to quit his job, study for years, and face these insane odds. But the AICPA, that was the strategic move. He could actually study while still working, and the bang for your buck was just way more attractive. It was the realistic choice.
But making the decision himself was one thing. Getting his family on board, that was the real mountain he had to climb. This wasn't him asking for permission. It was a genuine plea for their trust and support, a promise that he would go all in just for 1 year. And he says his wife's approval, that was the real starting gun for this entire journey.
And that journey, well, it came with a serious price tag. The author is brutally honest about this, and he even breaks it down in what he calls his personal profit and loss statement.
So first up, the hard numbers. Over $7,000. For the main breadwinner of a family, that is a serious investment. It was a huge financial hurdle to clear before he even opened a single book.
But that dollar amount, honestly, it was nothing compared to the real price he paid. The heaviest cost by far was the emotional debt he started to owe his family. And it's all captured in this one absolutely heartbreaking question from his 6-year-old daughter.
And this is where you see the true opportunity cost. I mean, it was just immense. The guilt of pulling his hand away from his little girl to go study, the quiet burden his wife had to carry, giving up every single moment of rest. This was the real, true cost of his ambition.
So with all of these costs piling up, how in the world did he actually pull it off? He knew he couldn't just study harder. That wasn't going to work. He had to study smarter. He needed a real battle plan, one designed specifically for what he calls his aging 40-something brain.
So he came up with this repeatable system he calls the golden cycle. It's basically a 2.5-month sprint that he used for each of the 4 exam sections. It would start with 1 month of just grinding it out, self-study. Then 15 days of a final review to really nail the tough stuff, and it would end with a 20-day polish, just hammering mock exams to make it all stick.
And here's where you can really see his core philosophy in action. Trick your brain, don't fight it. His goal was repetition, not perfect memorization, aiming to see the material at least 7 times. He ditched slow, handwritten notes for quick screenshots. He mastered digital tools. And my personal favorite, watching lectures at 1.6 times speed, or even faster, just to squeeze every single second out of his day.
He even gives us an updated strategy for the new 2024 exam format. His advice? Knock out regulation or reg first, since it's the most memorization heavy. Then you tackle financial accounting and business analysis together to take advantage of the overlap. And finally, you finish with auditing, which really builds on everything that came before it. It's just a really smart, strategic way to attack the exam.
So, after a full year of sacrifice, thousands of dollars spent, and this meticulously executed battle plan, what was the actual return on this massive investment? What was the real bottom line?
Well, the journey ended with this beautifully simple but just deeply satisfying result. He said that seeing this screen, watching each one of those squares fill up with the word credit one by one,
was this special kind of joy that literally kept him going through the whole thing.
But he's really quick to point out that the credential itself, that was only part of the payoff. The greatest returns, the things that really mattered, were something else entirely. They were the intangible assets that finally brought his personal balance sheet into the black.
The first major return was all internal. It was that feeling of vitality, the sense that his life, which had felt so stagnant, was finally moving forward again. It was the concrete proof he needed that, yes, I can still do this, and you just can't put a price on that.
And this second return? Well, this one was seeing the pride in his family's eyes. After all that shared sacrifice, hearing his daughter say, "Daddy, you're so cool," made every single hard moment completely worth it. He realized what he desperately wanted all along wasn't the word credit on a computer screen, but seeing the faces of his family smiling right there with him. And finally, there was the professional payoff. The AICPA gave him a totally new identity as a global expert. Doors to international roles and opportunities that had been bolted shut before were suddenly wide open, putting him on a much, much bigger stage.
In the end, this book is so much more than an exam guide. It's really a powerful call to action. It's for anyone out there who feels stuck, for anyone who thinks it might just be too late to start something new. His message is so clear. 40 is not too late. So the final question really isn't about an exam at all. It's a much more personal one. What's the name of that thing that will make your heart beat again?